All right, guys, welcome to the David Pola Show. I'm here to bring some light into this dark world. I'm here to help young men and young women out there make smarter decisions. The first episode, we're going to talk about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We're talking about chapter 11, one of my favorite chapters, one of the most powerful chapters I've read to make me realize, whoa, I made some big mistakes in my 20s. So let's get into it. And by the way, I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan, promise you. But let's do this. So one thing I got out of that chapter is, if you're a young man or young woman out there, believe me, I'm not perfect. I'm a sinner. I used to love partying. I love women. I love going out. I used to love smoking pot, and I was very talented. I made decent money in my 20s, but I had nothing to show for. Yes, maybe was I surrounding myself with the wrong friends and group of people? Yes, we had a lot of fun. But one thing I got from this chapter was Napoleon Hill mentioned, you can become a genius in your 20s and 30s if you can take that sex drive, that sex stimulant, and focus it on your passion and your desire, whether it's, guitar, whether it's being a DJ, whether it's you wanting to become a doctor. But, a lot of men get successful when they're older is because, their sex drive dies down, they get more mature, they get wiser, da-da-da-da-da. But especially for the young viewers out there, if you can control that sex desire and that sex stimula, you're going to get a lot farther in life, I promise you. And I'm not telling you not to have fun or, not go out or not flirt with women or, all that stuff. Have a good time. You're only 21 years old one time. You look a certain way one time in your 20s. I get it. But you got to have balance because it could ruin your finances. And, when you're 30s and 40s, looking back in your 20s, that's the difference between a genius and a not genius. I've noticed in my life that I've gotten older, a lot of the successful people that are my age, they weren't going out the way I was going out. They had a passion, they had a desire, they weren't womanizers, etc. So, that's one thing I want to preach, especially on this first episode, is if you can take that sex stimula, especially in your early 20s, and focus it on your passion and your desires, you're going to be a lot farther in life in your 30s. So, one thing I didn't do, I never read any books. I just started reading books in my 30s. One chapter can change your life. And, God, of course, has a plan for all of us. And sometimes you can control your fate, that's for sure. And, especially, again, for the young viewers out there, have some balance, have some control in your schedule. If your schedule is to go to work on Tuesday from 9 to 6, stick to that schedule. If your day off is Saturday, don't take Friday off and, have a 3-day weekend. You're going to start realizing as you get older, the days count. The days are long, but the years fly by. So, for me, I want to share that message because it impacted a lot of my finances. I've ruined a lot of, relationships. I didn't make the right choices. I spent tons of money on booze and bottles and chasing women. And, knowing what I know now, if I were to flip back, 14 years ago, being that 22, 23-year-old man, if I knew about the stock market, if I knew about investing, if I was obsessed with assets and liabilities over buying a Range Rover or a Rolex, I would have had a lot more money. And it doesn't come down to the money. Of course, money is important, but, the more money you have, the more you can give. And that's what it's all about. So, again, for this episode in particular, I do want to preach the message that, read this book, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Go straight to chapter 11 if you want. And, you have to realize the sex desire is one of the strongest desires that us human beings go after. And if you can control that, it's going to make a big difference in your life. I can go on and on and on. And again, I'm not perfect. I've made tons of mistakes. I've spent tons of money having fun. And, do I regret it? Yes, I do. Did I have a lot of fun? Yes, I did. But looking back at it, it was not worth it. So to the young viewers watching this first episode, start focusing on assets over liabilities. Focus on having a balance in your schedule. maybe find one woman that you're obsessed with and go after her. But going to the bars nonstop, spending all that money, it's gonna add up. You're gonna look back at your life and you are gonna regret it. So for me, I'm just sharing this message because I'm 36 now, and I want to help the youth. And for me, what controlled my life a lot was that sex desire. It made me miss work. It made me spend a lot of money. It made me focus on things to be flashy so I can get more women. And again, looking back at it, it was a waste. If I knew about the stock market or investing and I could have had a much better future, or I could have been in a much better position right now to ultimately give back. So, if you can, start reading more. To the young viewers out there, pick up a book, stick to your schedule, understand that the sex desire, is a difference between a genius in their 20s and 30s and a non-genius. So, if you're watching this video, focus on assets, read some books, read this book in particular. It'll change your life, I promise you, if you take it seriously. I appreciate you watching. And then one shout out I want to do today is for my favorite hip hop artist, Kanye West. There's a particular song, Kanye West and T.I. called Welcome to My World. Listen to that Kanye West verse. There's a lot of subliminal messages. But I think, we live in a world right now where people just bring you up to bring you down. I know it happens a lot in the music industry. It happens a lot, for professional athletes. And a lot of it comes down to that sex stimuli. And, it will ruin your life if you can't control it. You will spend tons and tons and tons of money on just chasing that one night. And, if you can focus that passion into something that you love, whether it's playing a guitar, whether it's being a DJ, whether it's being a dentist, whatever it is, just focus on that sex stimuli, or at least keep it in the back of your mind, and it will really help, especially with your finances. And again, I'm not telling you not to have fun. I'm not telling you not to go to the bar or, smoke pot here and there. I get it. But again, for me, it caused, I don't want to say a lot of pain as I've gotten older, looking back at certain things I did in my 20s, but everything happens for a reason. God, of course, has a plan for you. And we're going to continue the show. We're going to continue to talk about amazing books. We're going to continue to give people recognition. And again, I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan. If anyone's watched The Last Dance, you'll realize that egos will ruin the world. It caused the best basketball team to break up. And they had Michael Jordan playing on that team. So that's for our next episode. We'll continue to make this a beautiful, beautiful show. We're going to help people. And I'm going to push young men and young women out there to continue to read. And I appreciate you watching the first episode. We'll see you soon.